You're listening to Building a Creative Life. I'm Pam Vale, an artist and writer. This podcast is about the small, often overlooked ways creativity shows up in real life, in what we notice and in what we choose to respond to. Here you'll find conversations and reflections shaped by curiosity, not instruction. No expectations, nothing to master. Just room to pay attention and trust where that leads. Hello, creative friends. Today I want to share something that's been on my mind from a really beautiful conversation I had with a dear friend. We get together about once a month or so over Zoom and we catch up on life and our businesses and creativity and art and life purpose, personal growth, and all of the things that really matter to us. And in our last conversation, she was talking about something that on the surface was kind of basic and simple. But as I thought more about it, I realized that in a very small but meaningful way, she gave me permission for something without even realizing it. The conversation had to do with being at a professional event with other people in the same industry and realizing that they're not your people anymore. They might have been at one time, but they're not now. For whatever reason, the reason doesn't actually matter at all. It's just the simple realization that something has shifted and you've changed. And that really struck me. In the last couple of months or so, I've been thinking a lot about who I want to be with, who I want to surround myself with, who I want to work with, who I'm talking to through my work. And it all kind of goes back to figuring out who I am now, not necessarily who I was before. For me, I'm a different artist now. I am a different creative now than I was a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 10 years ago, or when I started my business almost 40 years ago, which is still crazy to say out loud. So in this conversation, my friend was sharing that her rhythm when she's on vacation or on a work trip or even at home is different than many others. She knows what works for her and unapologetically lives her truth on a daily basis through her actions and her choices. And when she realized that the people at this event had a very different rhythm, especially in the morning and how they started their day, she gave herself permission to do what was right for her, even if it meant doing it alone. And it was okay. It didn't make her weird. It didn't make her difficult. It didn't mean there was something wrong with her. She likes to get up early in the morning and she likes to take care of her body with movement and yoga and meditation and whatever other natural holistic things she likes to do to keep her mind and her body healthy. She has her cup of tea, maybe takes a walk, and then she starts the day in a really positive and personal way. The people at this event chose to do something different, and that's fine if that works for them. But generally speaking, we aren't all like my dear friend. Being the one who stands out for following your own heart or your own desires or your own dreams can be hard. A lot of people don't give themselves permission to do that. I've always felt different than other people. I've always thought differently, at least from the people I was surrounded by. I didn't see barriers creatively where I know a lot of other people do. My choices can be very different from other people's choices, and some would say a little avant-garde maybe. And it was really lovely to hear her share that even something as simple as when you get up in the morning or what you choose to do on vacation or on a work trip is personal. You have the right to do that. When my husband and I travel, we generally like to hit the ground running, especially when we go overseas or somewhere new. We like to see everything and we move at a faster pace than what most would find comfortable. I've seen in travel groups I'm in, when people ask for feedback on their itineraries, usually 85 to 90% of the people will say some form of, "That is too much. You can't do all of that. You're just checking boxes. You're not really seeing things. You need more time." You need to plan less. But the truth is, everyone is different. Honestly, they would die if they saw some of our previous itineraries. And you know what? I feel like we've seen everything. I feel like we had deep and meaningful travel experiences. We didn't just check boxes. Finding your own rhythm in your life and in your creativity is really important. And maybe more importantly, knowing that it's okay if it's different than the people around you. There's a phrase in 12-step programs that you hear a lot. What works for me might be lethal for you. And it sounds dramatic, but it's true. When I heard my sweet friend talk about her intentional way of starting her day, it resonated deeply. And the other thing that really struck me is that it doesn't have to be black and white. There might be times when I want to get up and go all day on a trip until we get back to the hotel and collapse into bed. And then there was our recent trip to Scotland last fall. We consciously took a much more leisurely pace by choice. I didn't pack the days. My husband and I just wandered. We'd wake up and say, "Do you want to go beachcombing again for the third day in a row?" "Yes, I do. Let's go get coffee and go beachcombing." Or, "Let's take a nap this afternoon in our beautiful hotel room." Or play Rummy Cube in the library in our sweatpants. Or take a walk without a destination. That journey of figuring out your pace, your desires, your rhythm, all of that is personal. It's nobody's business. And it's pretty much limitless what you can choose to do or how you can choose to be. And it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. The last thing I want to touch on is how important these kinds of conversations are. If I hadn't had that conversation with my friend, that little golden nugget of truth wouldn't have reached me. That conversation paid something forward. She shared her way of seeing things, her way of moving through the world, and it reaffirmed my way. It made me think, okay, it's fine that I like to get up early on vacation and get going. I don't want to sit on the beach and do nothing for days. That's not me. And now that permission she gave me will get passed on to my other friends, to my kids and my grandkids, to my family, and to you. There's a ripple effect that happens when we talk about these things, when we hold space for people we care about, when we share how we move through the world. Conversations are important. Sharing your views is important. And it doesn't have to be on social media. It can be just with one friend, or with your partner or your spouse, or with your children. Supporting each other in finding our own rhythms is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give each other. And sometimes all it takes is one honest conversation to give yourself permission to be exactly who you already are. Thank you for being here. I hope something from today's conversation stays with you in a quiet way. If this episode felt meaningful, you're welcome to follow the podcast or pass it along to someone who might enjoy it. Until next time.